Welcome to Joomla Overrides and Beyond. In this session, we're going to take a look at the new override system in Joomla 3. Overrides are based on the model and view controller of Joomla and allow you to change the look of almost any extension that you want, as long as they're based on the MVC. This really helps in customizing your site to the way that you want it and the look that you would like. This also helps in the fact that everything is done inside of your core template files, and there is no hacks to the core code of Joomla. This allows for upgrading Joomla without losing any changes, or upgrading an extension without losing any of the changes that you've done. So let's go ahead and have a look at the back end of Joomla 3 now and check out how the overrides work. So first we'll need to go here to our extensions and our template manager. For this demonstration, I am using the ProStar template that comes default with Joomla 3. And normally you'd go here to do any editing you'd want to do for the template. But now what we need to do here is go to templates. Now we see a different view here. The first view is styles, and now this is for the core files. So we'll go ahead and open our ProStar. And as you see here, what this is showing you the basic structure of the template. So here you have the CSS for the template, the HTML, and this is where the overrides go, in the HTML folder. Then you've got your images, your JavaScript language, and whatnot. But we're really only focusing on the HTML folder. So if we open the HTML folder, you'll see that it comes right here with a modules and a pagination PHP that are being overridden. So those are already in here. So we're going to look at the create overrides now. And as you see, we have a listing here for all the modules, all the components, and all of the layouts that are available to override. So let's take a look at the COM content. And we're going to go ahead and see that inside the COM content, we have our category, we have our article, our archived. So let's go ahead and create a category override. As you see, now I've clicked on it, and there we go. The category override is done. So let's also create the article override. And then we can go back here to our editor, and we can look in the HTML folder, and we'll see now there's a new folder called COM content. And now we have our article folder and our category folder. And one thing you should know about this is if you're using a commercial template from one of the many commercial providers out there, be it Joomla Art, Joomla Ecstasy, Rocket Theme, Gavik, Utheme, there's many out there, and just about everybody already does the overrides for their templates. Because if you look at the core install of Joomla, the styling really isn't that elaborate. So most commercial template providers go in and actually do overrides for their templates so they can keep a constant look between extensions. So now let's go ahead and look at the category view here. In the category view, we have several PHP files. We have the blog. The blog renders the actual blog layout, not the blog items, but the layout, be it 2-column, 3-column, and the whole ordering. The blog item is what displays the item in the category. So let's go here to the front end of our Joomla install, and we'll see that we have our home here, and these are the featured articles on the home. So let's go over here to our blog layout, and here's our blog layout. So as an example here, let's go ahead and take the title and these details and our print and email, and let's move it underneath the photo. So what we're going to do is go back here to our overrides, and we're going to go to our blog item. And now here, this is going to load in your blog item, PHP. Now what this file is, this is a file that it has your basic markup with HTML and PHP. One feature that is missing at this time in the overrides in the back end here, editing, is a multiple undo. So basically, once you save, you're committed. We do have nice line numbers here, but the first thing I would suggest doing is copying all of this out and paste it into an editor so you have it saved. Because if you don't save it and you make one little mistake, you might have to start all over. So it's basically good to have a backup. Now let's move down here and check out what we have going on. So we have the JLayout helper render Joomla content blog style default item title. Okay, simple enough. So you don't really have to know PHP to make these edits. You just basically have to look, because this stuff is pretty much so written out so you can understand what it's doing. So all this is doing is the echo means it's going to display it, so it's just displaying the title. Okay, so here's our icons, here's our tags, here's our info block, and here's our image. So let's just take this area here up to the title, and let's go ahead and take that out, and now let's move it underneath. And now we're going to go ahead and save. And back here in our category blog now, we'll refresh it. And as you see, now I've simply moved the title and the details and all this information underneath the image. So now let's look at some other options that we can do here. So as you see, we have this details right here. You may have seen this before, or you may not have. Like I said, if you're using templates from template providers, this is actually turned off in various different ways, because this is part of Joomla that has not been completed yet. It's automatically putting that details there. So let's go ahead and find out how we get rid of that. So we're going to go back here to our overrides. Let's save and close. And let's go to create overrides. So as you're seeing in the past view, everything was just with one little echo and done. So these files are actually built in other places, and these are the layouts. So you've got your content layouts. So let's go ahead and create the content layouts. So we'll go back here to our editor, and we'll go to our HTML, and you'll see that we have our layouts. So we have our layouts, we have Joomla, and then we have content. So as you see here, this is the intro image. Here's our tags, and here's our info block. And our info block contains the author, the category, the created date, and the block. And the block actually forms all of this into one. So let's go ahead and click on the block. And here's what I was just talking about. Here's a little note in here. It's to do implement info block, show title param to hide the article info title. So that parameter is not inside of Joomla yet. In your article view, you have no parameter to turn this on or off. So right here, what we can do is we can see that we have a quick PHP here that's saying to show it or not. And if you're familiar at all with PHP, you'll understand that a 0 is no and a 1 is yes. So right here, we have it hard-coded as a 1. So let's just change that to a 0. And let's go ahead and save it. Now we can refresh our blog view, and we can see that the details are now gone. And here's where it's pulling in the info block author. And so that would be over here in our layout. This would be the author PHP. So that's a quick overview here of how this works inside of Joomla and the overrides. So let's go ahead and let's try something new. Let's add something in. So let's go to our com content, and let's go to our article. And here's our default PHP. And so we can go down here and scroll, and we can see that we've got our show title. Here's our title with our H2. So you could go ahead and you could add a class around this, or go ahead and add a separate class to the page header, something like page header dark. We can save that. And then we could go over here to our CSS, open the template CSS, let's scroll down to the bottom, and let's add a new class, dark background, pound 000, and hit save. Now we'll go ahead and refresh the blog. And now we'll go here and we'll click on one of our items. And you can see that now we have a dark background behind the title. So let's go back here to the CSS and let's just remove that. As you see, you can go ahead and add classes in your overrides. Or you can do some more advanced things like, let's go ahead and make the image in the article open in a modal and expand. This is something that I've had some requests to do. If you're using something like a shopping cart, maybe J2 store, or something where you have your product images and you want in the article for the image to come up in a modal and get larger, we can do that very simply here by just adding a few different lines of code. So the first thing that we're going to want to do is we're going to want to add the JHTML for the modal. So I'm just going to drop it right here that we have our behavior modal. And most of these classes and these JHTML items you can find online. You can just go ahead and search Google for how to add a modal into Joomla and you'll see some good instructions how to do this. So now let's go down here and let's find the image. And now we have our image here, right in this area. So we'll find the start of the IMG call. So here is the IMG, and then down here is the SRC. So let's go ahead and put a link, the ahref equals, and let's give it a class of modal. And let's close that. And now let's put the link in here. So here's the IMG, so here's the SRC. So we'll just copy this SRC here. And we're going to put that in for our ahref. Okay. Now let's take this closing A and let's go ahead and put it right here after the SRC. And now we'll save the item. And we can go back to our article. And now you'll see when we hover, we've got a link here. We can click it, and there you go. And this is just one of many things that you can do to go ahead and customize the look of your Joomla content. So let's go ahead and save and close out of here. And let's go back to our overrides and let's go ahead and just look at a module real quickly here. Let's go ahead and make an override for the mod login. So we can go back to our editor, we can go to the HTML, we can go to the mod login and default PHP. And again, here's the basic HTML and PHP. And so we've got mod login username, class, input small, input small. Input small is a bootstrap class, and so if you wanted that to be larger, you could use a medium or large. Let's look and see what we have going on the home page here of our site. And let's go ahead and turn on a login module. And now we have a login form in our right position, position 7. So as you see, the fields are kind of small here. So what if we wanted to extend them out? You could go ahead and do this with CSS, but since it's using Bootstrap classes, they've basically done the work for you. So we can go down here and we can find our input small for our username. And let's just change that to medium. And then here, small. Medium. And here's our password. And medium. And we'll go ahead and save. Refresh the front end. And there you go. So basically, overrides are going to give you complete control over the styling of modules, components, and some plugins without ever having to touch the core code of Joomla. Now let's take a look beyond the basic overrides and see how you can create your own custom view. Custom views are good to use because you can go ahead and create multiple views of a component and with your own customizations. So let's save out of here. And for this example, again, I'm going to use the COM content. So as we see, we've got COM content and category. Now I'm going to go over to create overrides. I'm going to go to COM content and I'm going to create another category. And what's nice here about the override section is if I go to the editor now and I look in my HTML, I see COM content, and under category, now I have the basic date here on these. It's not going to overwrite what I've already done. So what we'll need to do is we're going to go ahead and create our own custom blog view. So we're going to go here and we are going to rename this file. And this is the standard blog. So this is my custom blog. Rename. So now we have my custom blog, and now here's the blog children. So we'll rename this file my custom blog underscore children. And as you see, with all these separate files, they have an underscore. So you're just going to go ahead and put your custom name and the underscore in there. Now I've created all of my custom blogs here. As you see, we've got the blog, blog children, blog item, and blog links. So I've created my custom blog links, my custom blog, my custom blog children, and my custom blog item. So now we have the overrides. There's one step that we have to do now that requires going in via FTP and getting the XML file. So let's go ahead and open a FTP program. So once you open your FTP program, you're going to want to go here to your root of your directory, and you're going to want to go to components, and you're going to want to go to the COM content, and next you're going to want to go to views, the category view, the TMPL, and then you're going to want to go ahead and download the Blog XML. So let's download the Blog XML. Now that we've downloaded our Blog XML, let's go back here to the root and let's go to our templates folder. Let's go to the ProStar folder, our template. Let's go back to that HTML folder, the COM content, and the category. And let's go ahead and upload that XML to the category folder, the Blog XML. So let's go back to our HTML folder here in the overrides, COM content, category, and now we have the Blog XML. So let's go ahead and open Blog XML, and now let's rename this. We're going to rename the file My Custom Blog XML. So now we have My Custom Blog XML. Now we do have to change one thing here, is the title. And if we look here, we're going to see that it's actually using the languages in Joomla. But for this, we're just going to go ahead and put in My Custom Blog, not use the language. And now we have our own custom layout. So let's close out of here and let's go to our menus, our main menu. And now you see we have our blog, we have our category blog here. So let's create new, and let's call this My Blog. And now we can select our menu type, articles. And you see you've got your category blog, your category list, and down here, here's My Custom Blog. So we'll go ahead and select My Custom Blog. And let's look at our blog layout. Let's go ahead and set this for 8, 1, 0, 0 for leading. And let's make sure we have the right category selected. Blog, and we can save and close. Go back here to the front end of Joomla. And so here's the normal blog, and we did the override here to have the title underneath. Now we go to My Blog, and as you see, here's the title on top. So now you see the power of this. Say you want to create a totally different look for your blog versus your COM content. You can go ahead and create multiple views.